Welcome back. This is going to be a short video about interfaces, and it's going to show two key points. One of them is called tagging, and the other is the idea that you can implement more than one interface. So let's just show you the two interfaces I have here, which is going to show you the idea of tagging. Here I have an interface called favorites, but check this out. Nothing in there. And here I have an interface called big things. Nothing in there. So what do you have to do to be able to implement those two interfaces? Basically nothing. So look at two quick classes here I made. Apple implements favorites, no problem. There's nothing to implement, right? So you can just write that down, no problem. But what I've basically done here is I basically said Apple is sort of part of the group, and Apple is a favorites type, and so it qualifies as a favorites. You'll see here I've got the moon. Moon implements, another one of my favorite things, so it implements favorites. I didn't have to do anything. And it also implements big things, because the moon, probably you'd agree, is a big thing. And so basically it's part of both these types. Okay, a moon is a favorites, and a moon is a big things. Okay, because it qualifies. Check out the runner now, what this lets me do. And I'm not saying you'd ever do this in your programs, but it's just an option there for when you want to make a list or a grouping of totally unrelated classes, but for some reason you want to sort of keep track of them together. You can do this. I can make a list. Notice I didn't make it an array list. I left it very general, using what I learned from the last video or two. And I made it a new array list of favorites. Since this accepts type favorite, I could add a moon in there, and I could add an apple in there. Totally unrelated classes, but they are part of that interface. And so it's perfect, right? They can both be added. Now, the one problem with this is when you do pull them out of the list, you better be careful what methods you're calling, because you're going to probably have to use that thing instance of to check which type you're working with, right? But if for some reason you want to group things like this, it's doable. Notice I can make a list of big things, and the moon's the only one that qualifies. But if you had other classes, you could have other classes in there too. Okay, that's the idea of tagging, making interfaces that are basically empty. Now, the other idea there was the idea of implementing more than one. You can only extend one class, but with interfaces, if you have the right code, you can implement as many interfaces as you want. That list can go on and on and on and on. Okay, and there's no problem there. Now you've seen it. Now you know. That's it for this video. Two really quick things there.